about the VOD and the silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 850, a true milestone.
No, it's not a milestone. That's a milestone.
But he gets the intros wrong, so
I guess that's true.
it's on brand.
How to Train Your Drag Queen.
I gotta tell you, I'd watch that movie over this one any day of the week.
Oh no. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
So let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
This is Joe.
This is Kevin.
This is Tom, and joining us via the magic of, I used to say ZoomTube and Skypeify. I don't know what to
You're
call
really
this
showing
one.
your age. Zoom. That was so 2020.
I know.
Could you imagine, like,
Oh, let him introduce himself.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
sorry. No,
guys.
do it. Yeah, go.
It's
Sorry.
JD from InSession Film. Hey, JD, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me, guys.
He's
Glad
like,
to
do
be
I
here.
talk? Do I
Yeah.
not talk? I don't
Welcome
know.
back. You almost got cut off by the world's quickest tangent where
Well, I was just-
Joe actually was
Yeah.
going off on a
I
tangent
was about
inside
to.
of the guest
I
introduction.
was about to. It is
Friends
wild.
will be like, JD, I thought you were going to be on this episode of Real Spoilers. I was,
Yeah,
technically, but it turned out the whole episode was a tangent that took place before my introduction.
It was all in a snow globe.
Yeah.
Just how all of those companies, Zoom, Skype, all of it, dead.
Yeah. No, Zoom, I deal with it for government
still?
business. Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom still.
That's
Okay.
what like government. Do you use it with your work at all with government? Like they
They
must.
make us, we're Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we are
but
too.
I can never get it to log in right. And so I just send a Google.
Oh, okay.
That's
a
what we
Google
Google Chat is what we use.
Yeah.
But just like how there were so many
Yeah.
in the beginning, and then
Yeah.
Skype was like, we made it.
Oh, could you imagine? Yeah, being Skype. Like, yes.
Every time, it's funny. I had to reboot my computer, and the MP3 Skype recorder came on, and I
from
was
the
like,
old days.
I don't need that. Why is that still on my computer? I don't need that.
JD,
anymore.
when we used to have guests, we would call you on Skype. So this would have been a Skype
Yeah.
call. And then we used the MP3 Skype recorder
Yeah.
to record our guests' audio out of
Oh,
Skype.
I remember those.
Do you remember
Yep.
that?
Oh yeah, we used those for a long time as well.
That was what you had to do. Like if you wanted to have a guest and you wanted decent audio, it was
Yeah.
Skype.
Yeah.
Like that was.
No, absolutely.
I
Yep.
remember watching Dr. Phil, and for years, his guests, if they were on Skype,
Yeah.
it was always Polycom.
Why?
I'm
That's
assuming-
Polycom is I think the little device they use on conference calls.
Yeah.
That takes the microphone. yeah.
And it was funny because they would always they must have had some sort of deal,
Yeah, like a
and so
sponsorship, yeah.
they always had via Polycom, and then it was always complete dog.
Oh, so it's not a good ad.
It would drop in and out, and I was just like, and you're branding it.
We'll be right back.
yeah.
And now I'm like, well, maybe Skype paid for it. Maybe
Yeah.
Skype was like, here, we're gonna pay for it, but call it Polycom and use Polycom, and then it'll be really bad.
It'll be perfect.
It's like-
do exactly what we need it to do.
It's like when, what was it, back in the day, I don't even know if this was true, but I saw the story and it's always stuck in my head. Back at the peak of Jersey Shore, apparently, Gucci would send free purses to Snooki, but they would send free purses of Ralph Lauren or whatever.
Okay.
Because they didn't want
to
have
associated with.
because they didn't want people to see one of the Jersey Shore
I gotta
cast
tell ya.
members with Gucci.
Oh, that's
and,
hilarious.
not
I think
even
it's
their
very
brand name.
possible.
Yeah, and I have the brands backwards probably, but
Right,
you know what
right,
I'm saying.
right.
So they sent the competitors
They
to
said
try to
competitors
down the
because
value.
They found out she liked their stuff, and she was buying it and walking around with it, and it's in all the whatever TMZ was at the
Yeah.
time. So they sent her a bunch of stuff
Where are
from
these
the competitor,
purses?
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, I got free, whatever."
Oh, that's too funny.
Gucci's like, woo.
I'm like, "That's pretty smart.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, shameless plugs. Let's do that. It's been a bit. So don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us. While you are there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That is super helpful and greatly appreciated. There we go.
You got it.
And if you would like to support the show, good news, you already are just by listening.
That's
But
right.
if you would like to support us with money, we would like to take your money. You can do that over at patreon.com/realspoilers. It's $5 a month. You get all sorts of bonus content. You know that deep down we like you a little extra.
That's right.
You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/realspoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. The group, if you're searching for it, is called the League of Show Shares because we are hoping you will share an episode. People who were kind enough to share an episode last week include Ralph Tribble, Jason McLean, Phil Timon, Tammy Lynn Powers Betts, Chris Magic Man, Julian Jordan, Tom Dowdy, Richard Krauser, Travis Tewitt, Gabriel Lugo, Taylor Ward, Heather Sack, Cinema Recall, The Kryptonian Orphan, Edit Photo Gamer, Batman Rye Guy, Tom O'Keefe. I'm saying that wrong to make up. That's a direct apology to Chris Magic Man because you screwed up his name last week. Now, I'm no better. I don't know that I've ever actually said his real name.
Right.
Because I can't
It
get it
wasn't
out
that
either.
bad. I almost said Chris Magican, and then I was like, oh, no, I'm sorry, Chris Magic Man. Sorry, Magic Man. So here's another shout-out for you.
So I'll deliberately mispronounce my own name in an act of contrition. James Install, Geek to Me Radio, Colby Mack, Mike and Oscar, Ryan Terry, Ronnie Castle, Matt Naglia, InSession Film,
Hey.
ta-da, and Nostalgia Cast. So thank you very much for supporting the show. We greatly appreciate it. And then, of course, don't forget you can watch all of these over on YouTube.
Now-
Smash that subscribe.
There you go. You got it.
Now remind me, because Brad Hyen has not been on the show in a little bit. I mean, he was on recently, but it's been a little bit. And the rule now, if JD shares this week, which we of course hope he does,
Right.
do you read his name because he was a guest? So
Well,
guests.
okay.
don't-
What if he shares it from his podcast page?
Oh, if he does. So wait, if he shares from his personal page or the pod, is one of those.
So, well, you seem to use your podcast page. If you have a normal Twitter, I don't know that I've ever seen. I've only ever seen InSession Film. So if I would.
So if he shares from both, the JD can take over the Brad Hyen rule.
Yes, that would
Okay.
be a way
That's
to
a
circumvent.
challenge.
But now, if he doesn't share from both, then I will deem
Take.
the InSession Film as his personal. That's
right.
And not say it next week.
That's
That
it.
is. There's a
This
whole.
is the deep lore of
Yes.
sharing, JD. So
I have a whole flow chart that explains it.
read
Okay,
his
I look
dissertation.
forward to seeing that. Yeah.
It's a decision tree. It's
Yeah.
like a choose your own adventure
Yes,
novel.
that's exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I just didn't know if we really clarify. I know there's the Brad Hyen rule, but I'm like, but
Yeah.
if you have a personal and a podcast page,
I'm going to share
And
it from Real Spoilers and my personal
Oh,
one. And
there you go.
Yeah.
Wait, you have access to the real spoilers?
Damn right I do.
I don't.
Oh.
That's okay. I don't care. I only go on Twitter anymore to read the League of Show Shares. I'm like, write it down. There we go. That's all I need to do.
I get on there long enough to get mad at the people dogging on anything that is worthy to be dogged on.
Yeah.
And
That's
then-
just how you like to start your
Oh,
day.
man.
Oh, what a beautiful day. I got to get mad. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going out there now.
It's like
what the
Twitter
anti-
for you.
it is
Yeah.
Twitter,
See
man.
what the
You're not
anti-woke
lying.
contingent is mad about now.
Yeah. Oh, they're mad because Superman looks skinny. All right.
oh, God.
They're
I can't.
they're mad because he made a joke.
Yeah.
That's where we are right now.
We knew it. I mean, we predicted this years ago when they said, "Oh, James Gunn is making a Superman." I'm like,
Yeah.
get ready for 2 years of the most ridiculous outrage.
I feel like it was chill for a minute because
Yeah.
there were no announcements. But as soon as like the advertising started to ramp up and you started to see more of the movie, and that's
Oh,
You know,
his hair curls to the left instead of the right. Not my Superman.
People in bands all the time say that they don't get paid to play music; they get paid to travel.
Sure.
'Cause it's like the playing music is fun. I feel like that's what James Gunn is like with directing these movies. I don't get paid to direct the movies. I get paid to deal with all the bull.
Yeah, I mean,
fans. That's what I get paid.
That
for.
is, I gotta tell you, that is a good. I'm not gonna like leader, right? Like you take it. Well, part of the things at my job is like I tell my guys, I take the brunt. Like when you guys screw up, I take the hit for it. So please don't screw up, so I don't have to hear it. But that's what. Yeah, you just stand there and take the shots.
That's
while,
how the clip out is. I say something that offends people, and then they yell at Crystal, and I'm like, perfect.
yeah.
But you know, at a
great.
certain point when you get paid enough, I mean, he is the writer, he is the director, he is
producer.
the head of DC Studios. Like he's
Doing
getting
some light janitorial duties.
Yeah,
on the
right,
weekends.
right, right.
like he has to get paid his Directors Guild minimum
Oh, yeah.
and his SAG minimum.
I wonder how that works. Like in a situation
or
like that.
WGA minimum, and he gets paid. You know,
Do you
they
think
have
he?
to
Do you
pay
think
him.
he would take the minimum? Like, do you think he would say, I have all of these irons in the fire. Do you think he's like, but I also want $6 million to direct this movie?
I
or
mean,
do I take the
he deserves whatever
Yeah,
he should get paid. I'm not saying he shouldn't, but like I'm just saying he can't even like be like, well, I'm the head of DC, I'm going to defer my money to go to somewhere else. Like I think like because he's in all these guilds,
Sure.
like they have rules and unions, you know, like you have to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'm sure he's making more than the minimum, as well he
yeah.
should.
Oh,
This is not some art house passion
Sure, it's
project.
Superman.
It's Superman. They've got deep pockets.
Right.
They can
Let
pay
the man
him. Like,
get paid,
If you're gonna do something like Superman for free, well, how are you ever gonna get paid for?
Well,
anything, you know?
maybe he doesn't take the $6 million for directing, but then he's got like the head of DC Studios money over here,
Right.
The producer credit here, the writer credit here.
yeah, I think he takes it all, but as he should. I mean, but that's just how it is. My point was like he can't just be the head of DC and be like, all right, I get paid my DC. Like they have to pay him as a director. They like that's just how it works.
He's like, by the way, I'm starring in this movie too.
Yes.
I told you
I will be playing both Superman and Crypto.
And Crypto.
And just to be clear, Crypto is not motion capture. It's just going to be me on all fours.
Yeah. I mean, if Crypto's not, have we heard, is it not Sean Gunn? Like it has to be, right?
No, it's a totally CG thing.
Well,
It's
yeah,
not
but
Sean. Oh,
but
are you asking
he-
if Sean Gunn's doing the mocap?
yeah, because
no,
it's okay.
no,
I'm like,
because he's
He's playing the cape.
exactly. He's Maxwell Lord.
oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
anyway, there's all that. How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay. Do you have an affinity for these movies?
yes, they're
I
great.
do not.
They're fine.
They're great.
That's kind of how I.
JD is a big fan. That's
Okay,
that's
that's-
one
that's-
reason I
yeah,
wanted to
right.
bring JD
JD's
on.
like, oh no,
but he's
what
he's
have I
a-
gotten myself in for?
I really like the originals. Katie and I just rewatched
How many
them.
are there? 4?
Three.
Three.
And they're one of Katie's favorite series. So we just rewatched them in preparation to see this. And I'm like, we got to get someone on that loves the originals that can, this is basically a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to know, JD is
That's
someone...
the problem.
Dear God, is it ever?
But it is. But JD is someone
Thought
who...
it was directed by Gus Van Sant.
But I saw Anne Heche's butthole.
How do these land for you being such a big fan?
Well, I mean, I guess for context, to reiterate, that first How to Train Your Dragon, I do think is one of the best animated films ever made.
Fair.
I think it's a full-on masterpiece. And if that's not hot enough of a take, I will go even further to say that How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the best animated sequel ever made.
Over Toy
Okay.
Story
I'm a
2?
huge. Yes, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the best animated sequel ever made.
Over Land
I will
Before
die on
Time
that
7. Yep. I mean,
Ducky's
over that
Revenge.
one. I know that one is also a masterpiece.
Land,
Yes,
Land Before
better than
Time
that one.
17? I mean...
They made man, I will tell you.
American Tail 6. Feifel learns accounting.
Here's the wild thing about those. When I worked at Blockbuster, those Land Before Time movies would come out, every quarter.
Hourly?
Yeah, every quarter you'd get a new one. Those things would rent like crazy.
why they made 'em.
nonstop.
Kids love them.
Well, it's like,
Yeah.
but they were making the studios weren't making money on the rentals. It was Blockbuster that was like,
No, they sell those to them for a couple hundred a pop.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
how
true,
they
that's
make their
true.
money. You get them whether they rent or not.
it was
They pay for
wild. Like any of those, the Disney one's not even so much, but the Land
Don
Before
Bluth.
Time,
Universal
good
ones.
Lord.
Yeah. So JD, with
Yeah.
the high praise you give 1 and 2, and like to me, I think that trilogy is perfect. I don't think any of the How to Train Your Dragon movies are bad. I think they're all amazing. But how does a live action shot for shot remake, clearly unnecessary, but how does that land for you?
Yeah, so it's weird because I've always talked about, and we recently talked about this on our show, because when I went back to look at our archives, this was like 2017, actually it might have been 2019, something around there. But we did an exercise on our show. We were talking about animated films that could transition well to live action. And How to Train Your Dragon was my number one on that list when we did that.
Did you have any
'Cause
others
I
that
do
kind of
think-
popped in there?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think this could transition easily to live action. However, the way that I envision that is not at all what this film ended up being.
Really? How did you envision it? Tell me.
Well, Look, I didn't think that they would make it as cartoonish as they did and almost verbatim recreate what is there in the animated film. The
You were
film is
adamant that
perfect for
Astrid
animation.
had to have blonde hair the whole time.
No.
I'm kidding.
No,
I'm totally
no,
kidding
like-
about that. I don't care about that at all.
But as far as the way they can, and I don't know what the higher ups were wanting out of this. Clearly, they wanted something that would pander more to a younger audience. So maybe the photorealism would have been too cumbersome or arduous for young kids. I don't know if that was the case there, but in my mind, there's a different way to adapt that material to live action that doesn't have to be a verbatim regurgitation. So when the trailer came out for this, I was very disappointed. It looked pretty dull and mundane. As you guys have noted, it's pretty much shot for shot. And I was not really all that excited for this, but I will say, because I think so highly of that first How to Train Your Dragon, even shot for shot, and you're bringing back John Powell, and good Lord, I need to talk about that as well.
Yeah.
But when you're bringing back all of those elements, the floor to your movie is already really high.
Right. You've
So-
got the when the music starts playing, you've already got John Powell's incredible score.
And they brought back,
Exactly.
and Gerard Butler is the voice of the dad.
Gerard Butler
Yeah,
is
he's
back.
the one
Okay.
actor that
I
came
gotta
back.
tell you, in my head, I was getting Brave and How to Train Your Dragon like mixed together.
Oh, that's funny.
Because I was like, this isn't the voice of the king, and I was like, I thought it was Billy Conley was
Those
the
are two
voice. And I was like,
different-
oh wait, that's a very
There's
different.
more than one Scottish actor.
I know, but did those come out at the same time? The first How to Train Your Dragon and Brave were those
Yeah,
close to
Brave,
each
Brave
other?
was like 2012, and
Okay.
How to Train Your Dragon was 2010. So yeah, they were just a
Okay.
few years
Okay.
apart.
Yeah, it's close, close enough where it's like I think I didn't have a.
Yeah.
Did I have a child in 2010 No. I had
What
one in
was your
20
first child's birthday? We can do that. We can
2011.
figure this out. Okay.
I had one in between.
There's a way to figure this out. So
Yeah.
I thought Gerard Butler, like the fact they got him back, and he wasn't going to be originally. He had scheduling conflicts, so
Too
no.
busy doing Den of Thieves 3.
I guess so,
I have
but
Plane
Hell
6.
yeah.
I had Plane 6. God, that Plane movie took off though, didn't it?
I get what you did there.
Unfortunately. Not that what
it
you
was
did
fine.
there.
It was
It was
fine.
No,
that's
the movie
exact-
was fine. It was one of those dad movie, whatever, Saturday
Absolutely.
afternoon.
And now we're gonna get 5 of
That's
them.
fine. But anyway, so I'm glad. So the strike happened, and then things got delayed, and so he was able to come do this. And like I think having him back as in the same role was really cool. I mean, I think he fits that character perfectly. You've heard that voice
It
in
was
all
fun
the
to see Nick
movies.
Frost too.
Yeah, you know what? I really missed Craig Ferguson in that role.
Is that who that was?
It was Craig
Yeah.
Ferguson in the animated films. He's so funny.
Yeah.
I love Craig Ferguson in general.
He's
I think
great.
he was one of the best late night show hosts to ever do it.
He's who Jimmy Fallon wants to be.
Yeah.
Because Craig Ferguson, I think we talked about it when Fallon took over. Jimmy wants to be Johnny Carson so bad, but Johnny Carson always kind of had that everyman feel
Yeah.
to him, where I think Craig Ferguson
Ferguson's so genuinely
isn't everyman, so
Yeah.
he has that.
Johnny Carson knew how to make it not be about him.
Yes.
And
Yeah, Jimmy
that's-
Fallon, that's all he does. And it's so scripted and fake. I just can't stand any interview he does, the way he tees
Yeah.
up. And I know talk
When he
show
first
hosts do-
started, I thought he was really good. I was like, oh man,
I
he's
was surprised
really good.
too. Okay, I expected Fallon to be bad, and then he started. I know it was rough the first couple weeks.
It always is.
But
Yeah.
he got into a groove, and I'm like, oh, he's funny, but I just can't stand him anymore. I'm so sick of his shtick. It's the same thing for
Yeah.
years now, and it just,
It's
I
like,
don't
can
know.
you just not break character for the sketch, please? That's all I need
But
you to
Conan and Craig
do. Conan
Ferguson,
and Craig Ferguson,
David
are-
Letterman.
Letterman's great.
Steve Allen,
Yeah.
Well, all right.
I liked
Jack Parr.
I liked who's the guy?
Arsenio Hall.
Who's the guy that I talked to you about that did all the really great interviews back in the day?
Dick Cavett?
Dick Cavett.
Dick Cavett's
Love
very good.
His show, he had some. He was like the Howard Stern of his time, in the fact that he would like ask the most interesting
From an
questions
interview standpoint.
From an
Yeah,
interviewer,
not from
interviewer.
making women come on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean,
You've seen Private Parts. You saw that.
yeah. But anyway, so I was a little disappointed that Craig Ferguson didn't come back. Nick Frost was fine in it. You know, he's fun, but I liked the fact that they brought him back. Now the director, Dean Dubois, is back from the original.
I was going to ask.
So they got
I
him.
saw when his name popped up in the credits, it was huge, and I was like, that must be the same guy.
He's done. I mean, he made those movies, and like if you're gonna have someone do a shot for shot remake, I guess at least if you get the original, it doesn't feel quite as icky because it's like you're recreating your film. I do think there's something like.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a billion times with these movies, and you would think that Universal. This is Universal, right?
Yeah. Well, it's DreamWorks.
And distributed by Universal.
But DreamWorks and studio still is making the movie.
Okay.
But it's also Universal.
Yeah.
Because they put these folks in the park now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that's the new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that's like, they're just the distributor. They don't.
That's fine.
You know, I mean, DreamWorks is the creative team behind it.
You would think that given the way we, pardon my French, on those new Disney movies, where it's like you're not doing anything. Like you're just. I would much rather watch The Little Mermaid from 1989 than this.
But you're not a little 7-year-old black girl.
Oh, I don't.
You know what I mean? Like
it's not,
they're
it's not,
making it for.
hold on. It's not about the casting. It's
not-
just about you're not doing anything. I see what you're saying though.
But
is
adding
like
that
you see-
representation.
Okay, The Lion King.
Yeah.
We'll take The Lion King.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything different. The ones that we like, Cinderella is basically Cinderella, right?
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book.
I mentioned this to
Dragon.
Katie. Like
They're
the best
different-
ones are doing it.
They're different
Yeah.
enough.
They're coming at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Where this is just like I spent the
Gus
whole
Van Sant's Psycho is a perfect
example of
example
how
of
not to do
how
it.
not to do it.
Because it's like I spent the whole time just going like, I mean, this isn't bad, but I'm like,
No.
but yep, that's what it looks like with people.
But let me
Like,
let
what
me
do you
ask,
want from me?
But let
Like-
me ask
Right.
you, JD, again, going back to someone who
Yeah.
is such a huge fan of the first ones. Like I'm a fan, but I don't think I have the same love as JD does for them. What was the point of this, and did they accomplish it? Like, why bring an animated masterpiece to life, but then do it exactly like you can, so without what the animation lens, like you can do so much with animation. Why bring it and put it in the real world?
JD, have you read the book?
I have not read the book.
Okay,
There's lots of books.
I was wondering if in the first book there's more happening. So like you could take
I'm
if you're going to
sure.
do a live action remake,
They could have adapted it from the
take
books
more
rather
from the
than
book.
remake.
Yeah.
But what was the point of it? I mean, besides money.
I mean, money.
But
Like,
but
that's the pro-
I know. But why did they say, and especially so close to these movies
It's like,
coming out?
Besides
Yeah,
masturbation, why are you reading or watching pornography? Besides the
I
masturbation.
just catch some
Well,
tips.
and it's funny that you say that because that's more or less what I was going to echo. I honestly don't think this is anything more than just about the money.
Sure.
There is no creative or artistic inspiration to this film. It is extremely vapid in that regard. And I don't think they cared. I think the higher ups literally told Dean DeBlois, make the animated film.
Do that
We'll just
again.
use it.
Yeah,
We'll just
just do
call it
that.
live action. Like literally beat for beat. And you're going to bring back John Powell. He's going to do his score all over again. And like, I think my biggest issue with this film is that it is a cartoon. This film wants to be a cartoon. It does not have one iota of inspiration to be live action. They just shot real people amongst this cartoonish landscape. And that to me, I think is maybe the most frustrating part because again, I think maybe more so than even a lot of the Disney remakes we've seen, this had remarkable potential to be something that is exquisite in live action, especially given the setting and the place in which all of this takes place.
Like if it
And-
looked
and I
like
do
Game of
think we get-
Thrones, that's what you wanted, like a serious high
It doesn't-
production
it doesn't-
value.
Oh no.
It doesn't
Not the
have to
ending.
be. It doesn't have to be that grounded, but something closer to that than
Right.
something that is cartoonish.
When the dragons look so much like the dragons from the cartoon,
That's the problem.
I'm like, why are we
Yeah.
here?
I mean,
But without the expressiveness,
but I
you-
understand. I understand.
I don't mean the expressiveness. I mean like the rounded snout of Toothless. Like he looks
Toothless,
so
though, I feel like you-
cartoony that I'm just like, what? Like,
But if you don't though,
I
like
feel
you
like you
can't make
can't.
Toothless.
but that's where you find a way to land between both.
Yeah.
both worlds, right?
I feel like
yeah.
Toothless's design initially, you can't really mess with it too much because I think he's supposed to be puppy-like, in the way that he,
his motion.
I guess
his
cat-like
cats
is more
and-
appropriate. Yeah, the big eyes and bouncing from side to side, stuff like that.
Oh, this, and I guess the real answer, again, money aside, which is never going to happen with studios, but just don't do it because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you go changing stuff, then you're like, JD, what if they change this story so much, or like they adapted the books, and let's say the books are way different than the masterpiece that you love. Like, would you, as someone who loves it, be like, oh, they didn't have this, or they did this differently, I don't like that choice?
No,
Like,
I want it to be wholly different.
okay.
I want it to be very like I cannot stand when these remakes are shot for shot and beat for beat.
Okay.
And the same thing applies to something like The Lion King.
Yeah.
The Lion King is one of my favorite films of all time, let alone animated or live action. And that 2019 film comes out, and I felt the exact same way.
Yeah.
That film might even be even more vacuous than this one. They did nothing. If anything, they made it actively worse.
Yeah.
I don't think Dean DeBlois makes this film actively worse. It's just so vague and dull and uninspired. But because the floor is so high, there's still, at least selfishly speaking, there's still some enjoyment to be had, especially when that John Powell's score kicks in. And I still, like, when I walked out of this theater, I cannot emphasize to you guys enough how angry I was at myself. Not so much at the movie.
I've been
at
there.
myself.
I think I know exactly what you're about to say.
Because, yes, there are moments in this film, especially because I'm watching this with my son. He took me to see this for Father's Day. So I'm with my kid, and I love that original film so much. And so, yeah, there are sequences here when that John Powell score kicks in, and the nostalgia factor certainly rises up a little bit, that I am emotionally overwhelmed.
They
And I am
gotcha.
shedding real tears in a theater over a movie that I'm not really enjoying.
I know, but
that much.
that and that
Pavlovian.
Yeah,
but that is why they did this. That is
And
exactly why they did it.
I think one of the differences with the Disney movies, for the most part, is that
they're way more woke, so they're better.
They're doing movies that are older.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
this movie, in the grand scheme of things, came out like a month ago.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
I
Why
was-
did they do
I was
this?
talking
to go back to that so soon.
Yeah.
Feels like we don't have fully formed nostalgia. It hasn't been long enough yet.
Yeah.
It's DC versus Marvel, right? Marvel 2008 off to the races. We're going to we're going to plan this out. We're going to do this. We're going to
I'm sorry, it started with the Hulk. Thank you.
Okay. It started with Iron Man.
Hey, that Hulk's part of the MCU.
You're not wrong. He is that somehow. I don't know.
That Hulk that didn't show
You're not
up.
wrong, but you're not right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The Hulk that didn't show up at all in Captain America 4, which is like, come on.
Oh, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
you
bring
couldn't
in-
get Mark Ruffalo to
bring
show
in the
up.
Hulk.
You know?
It's like you got a movie
gotta-
with
it's-
the Red Hulk. Like,
I will
come
touch on that briefly.
I was hoping for She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
she.
I love She-Hulk.
Bring her in.
She-Hulk is the most
She-Hulk is
creative
great.
show of the entire
It's
MCU.
it's so good, and she's a fantastic character.
To JD's point, talk about this. You bring in a show like She-Hulk that's so different. It's like, yes, you're doing something new and original. Like, don't just give me the same formula of the same crap.
I don't always need Hulk smash.
No.
I like a Hulk.
But you like to smash She-Hulk.
Well, I think it might be the other way around. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But Marvel lays out their plan, right? We're gonna get to the Avengers, and DC's like, wait a minute,
We can just
do this in 3 movies.
let's just put Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman
Yeah,
together in the
done.
second movie.
We're finished. There are moments where I was like, please don't let Batman show up in these movies yet.
But-
like if Batman shows up in Superman, I'm
And How
gonna
to
be
Train Your
pissed.
Dragon?
That would be incredible.
But so I totally agree, Tom. That's the thing, and what I was trying to ask earlier was like, you just did this, and the animation is still. I mean, I know that it's a bit dated now, but it's
I don't
still
think
but,
so.
Well,
It's still really good.
But when you get to 3, you're like, holy
Sure.
crap!
Did we cover 3 on the show?
I'm sure we did.
Yeah, we did.
I'm sure we
Okay,
did.
okay.
But when you look at the first, it's still good enough where it's like, yeah, this is still pretty modern animation.
Well, it's
so
almost
you're
like-
not taking hand drawn to CG or to live action. You're taking good CG to live action CG that's like negligible.
It's when people are complaining about Shrek. Like that first Shrek movie comes out in what 99?
Oh,
When's the
people are
first
not
one?
happy with that Shrek 5 animation.
Is it 99? No, earlier than that.
No, 2001.
The first Shrek?
See, it was like 2000, 2001, something
Okay.
like
Like
that.
2001-ish, yeah.
And then you've got Shrek 5. Right?
Yeah.
It's in 2025. It's like, yeah, man, there's
That's
been
why I
an
said online,
update in
it's gonna look
technology.
different.
It's gonna
I
look,
don't know what to tell
it's
you.
okay that it looks different.
I know they hate it.
It's-
The internet got so mad. They think they're going to do a Sonic thing because I guess it got delayed after people got mad.
He
so they-
looks like Shrek.
I know. To me, he looks like
He
Shrek
looks
with
like Shrek.
2025 animation.
I
don't
remember.
get the
I remember
difference,
when the gap between the first Ninja Turtles and the second Ninja Turtles movies.
Yeah.
The first Ninja Turtles looked like you would think the comic accurate
Yeah.
Turtles.
Are you
would
talking
look
about the masterpiece art house
I'm
film?
absolutely
the highest grossing
talking about-
independent film
I know,
of
man,
all
that
time.
bugs the
the time.
like?
What?
That it is, because it should be Halloween, but I'll allow it. That it's Ninja Turtles. It's fine.
That movie
But
is incredible.
The difference in their costumes, they get much more cartoony
Yeah.
when they go to 2.
that third one, they get
Third one
real
is
cartoony.
and then
They
yeah.
move too much. It's just
It's
too
too
much
weird.
cartoonishness. No, the
And
first
now,
one's great.
And now we don't get real turtles.
No, now we get CGI,
CGI
Slopfest.
turtles.
But okay.
That last animated one was good though.
Last one was
no,
fantastic.
last one where they did
Michael
something
Bay ones are
different.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
talking
yes,
about
those.
those. Yeah. But okay, this movie. So with all that being said, and it's interesting to hear you guys so disappointed. Like, I don't know what else I would have expected from a live action How to Train Your Dragon. Having just watched them all, and I love them, and I think it's an incredible trilogy. I mean, it's up there with Toy Story, where I think, like, as a trilogy, they're all good movies.
That's a bold statement, man.
I'm
not saying you're wrong,
But
they're-
I am though.
yeah, but I mean, name like animated, like trilogy wise. I mean, not that there's like a ton of animated trilogies, but like it's just they're good. You don't go like, oh, the second one kind of sucked, but the third brought it back, or the third like in How to Train Your Dragon. It's solid film, solid film, solid film.
Yeah.
There's, you know what I mean? They're great.
I hear you.
So after watching them all, and I watched this, and like, you know, Katie loves them, and like it did exactly what she hoped. She said this movie's incredible. I would go back and watch it right after this. I'm gonna buy this and watch it at home when it comes out. Like, she loves those movies, and she said this is perfect. It hits, like, for her, it did it. And I was curious to see if JD would land in the same arena. Now he's more critical as a film critic than Katie is the audience, but like,
You would think, though, as many movies as you drag Katie to.
she could be a film critic at this point, exactly. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, and like I was watching, and like I'm like, it's a shot for shot remake, but the CG looked good. That flying sequence when
Looked
he's going
great.
in and out of the cliffs,
It did look
looked
great.
incredible. It
Yeah.
did not look like a fake CG person flopping around. Like, it looked like live action
Yeah.
dragon flying.
The test drive sequence was one of the best of the film.
It's
hands
incredible.
down.
But do you know what I mean when we talk about bad CG and you see it in the real world and you're like, oh, it's just so like it doesn't move right. Like,
Yeah.
I thought all the CG in this looked like it
No,
blended in.
it looked good. Like
I-
that's,
it
I
blended
think in a
well.
way that's what makes it so frustrating. It's like it's not bad. It's just like, but why though?
It
This
is. That's
this
yeah.
is a tribute band of a movie.
It is.
and
is, sir.
I agree with you.
I love tribute bands, right?
They're the
like,
best.
They're a great time.
Yeah.
But tribute bands serve a purpose, and that purpose is either the band you love is they're all dead, they don't tour anymore, or when they do tour, it's really expensive, right? And so tribute bands offer you the opportunity to see this music live in a way that you can't anymore.
Right.
But you know what you don't do from a tribute band? You don't buy their record.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Because you don't need to buy.
I'll go listen to Van Halen.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't need to listen to Mean Streets, a tribute to Van Halen, recreating Van Halen 1 when I'm driving in my car. I
Right.
can just listen to Van Halen 1. It's
very
I
simple.
don't need you anymore.
But
Now,
have the
I-
real musicians ever joined the tribute band that has like become the band?
That's
Yeah.
a good. I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I guess a lot of.
Tim. No, you asked
Yeah,
the question.
yeah.
Man. Tim Ripper Owens was in the Judas Priest tribute
Yeah,
band and
yeah.
ended up fronting Judas Priest.
That's right.
And you have seen
Wasn't
that.
there? Wasn't the guy that was fronting Journey? Wasn't he in a Journey tribute band? Not Steve. Obviously not Steve Perry, but
The
who was
well,
other
there's been
guy?
a couple. There was Steve Augeri, and then there was like the guy, and then there was the guy that they
I think
found
of
in,
him
like,
as
the
like the Adam-
Philippines.
Yes, that guy.
And then I think that guy got replaced, and they got another guy like from like Thailand or the Philippines or something. But
that guy was the Michael Bolton of Journey. Where I was
Yeah.
like, hey man, you know Steve Perry builds up to this.
Right.
You don't need to go to 10 right away.
Michael Bolton.
Take it easy.
But like, so like, you know,
He prefers to
with
go
a
by
tribute
Mike.
band, it's like, yeah, you can't see this band live anymore, or they don't tour that frequently, or it's really expensive, so you go to see it live. But like,
You can just go watch How to Train
I
Your
can just go
Dragon.
watch the cartoon,
And it's not that old, like you said. It's not
Right.
that
Yeah.
old.
Which is so interesting though, because the director is in it, and John Powell's back, and Gerard Butler's in it, and it's like, so you've got they're in the tribute band.
Yeah.
Do you think they went to Jay Baruchel and were like, "Hey man, you want to come back
you're
and be
50?
Hiccup?"
Should you be a teenager now? I don't know.
I
about
wonder
that.
if they asked him. I do wonder if
Really?
they asked him to
I
come
mean,
back.
I was surprised
He
there
looks
wasn't.
like
Jesse Bradford.
But Jay Baruchel does have that Jesse
I know
Bradford
it's the Jesse Bradford thing. I'm
I will
40
say
and
this
I'm in
is
high
the kid
school.
from Black Phone.
Oh, is this the kid from?
Yeah.
I
I
thought
was surprised we didn't get some sort of like winking cameo
Of Jay Baruchel.
Yeah, I was also like, to me, that's the one improvement because I hate that guy's voice so much.
Oh, you know what?
I
You
think
don't
his
like
voice works for Hiccup.
I think it's
It's-
great for Hiccup.
I
It's
I think
like-
it's perfect for Hiccup. Yeah.
I can take him in small doses, but when you build a whole movie around him, I'm just like, oh my god,
What was
shoot
the-
me?
What was the one?
That's a different as David Spade.
Yeah,
No, what was the? Yeah, that's very well done.
Thank you.
What was the one? What was the movie? Like the
This the
where it gets-
end. This is the end.
This is the
Where-
end is built around him. But
Yeah.
what's the romantic comedy with Alice?
Oh, the Sorcerer's
Eve?
Apprentice with Nicolas Cage.
That is
Remember that?
not what I'm talking about.
But he was the lead in that.
He-
He was a thing
Oh,
for
yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to make him a thing. Oh, he's the lead in Undeclared.
yeah, he's one of the
Underclassmen.
undeclared.
Yeah.
He's funny. I like him. I get the voice could be grating, but like I like him in general. Like, he hasn't been around for
He
a while.
was really good in Blackberry a few years ago too.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I heard that was good.
I think he was supposed to
Yeah.
be Maxwell Lord. In
Was he?
something.
Oh, that's funny.
In one of those. Justice
Blackberry,
League.
the miniseries or the film? Did you watch it both ways?
I
Did
just
you?
watched the film.
Just watched the film.
with
Okay.
Baruchel and- yeah.
So to me, like I got all the emotions because, and now JD mentioned a good point. It's a bit of a cheat because that music starts playing, and there were times where like
it's a
my eyes started
cheat
welling
code.
up. It's totally Pavlovian, and I do think they recreate it in a way where it is good enough. It is not bad. So like, I think it still kind of earns it because like, well, this is a beautiful moment, but they're just recreating the beautiful moment
Yeah,
from the
sure, sure,
cartoon,
sure.
right? And so like,
Yep.
but like I was doing the same thing, JD, where my eyes are watering. I'm like, I know exactly what's going to happen, but they checked the boxes. You know, he put his hand out and Hiccup went to it. He did the test sequence. He saves Astrid. They did all the things, and the music played where it was supposed to.
Do you think they wanted Tom Holland for this? There were moments where I was like, "Man, this guy sounds like Tom Holland. This guy
Oh, is the lead?
This guy kind of looks like Tom
I think
Holland."
Tom Holland's too old.
Oh,
I don't know.
He's
Put
got
that cherry mustache on
he's got
him
the Jesse Bradford
Yeah,
thing.
he does.
That dude
'cause
still
they,
looks
they
like
put a mustache on him and cherry, and I'm like,
And then we're
no,
like,
nope, he's 12.
That's
I
Spider-Man.
can't.
What are you
Yeah.
doing?
I know. I'm wonder when he will get to the point because at some point it's gonna be like flip a switch and it's like, oh, Tom Holland looks old now.
You know, it's
Yeah.
that I can tell you when that happened with Leonardo DiCaprio. I went back and rewatched.
He looks like he was young,
It's
young,
The
young, and
Departed.
now he looks old now.
It's
Yeah.
The Departed.
Yeah.
I went back and rewatched The Departed, and there's a moment in that where he's kind of got like scruff when he's deep undercover. Spoilers. He's undercover. What? I know. I'm sorry. The rat stands for.
The rat stands for obviousness.
And there's a line.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, he's no longer
Yeah.
cute boy Leo. Like
Yeah.
now we're into a different
Yeah,
version.
and it's
of
not
him.
I'm not saying it like derogatory, but it's
No.
like he played that young, clean cut, good looking, like
Yeah.
he was Leo for
Jack
a long
and,
time.
Romeo and
I like these roles though. They're so much more interesting now. I think the roles he
What
was
roles?
Django. Oh, Leo.
Oh man.
Departed, Django. What was the one he just did? That was, Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, the Flower Moon.
Flower Moon. Yep, I like these Leo roles. Like,
Yeah, no,
it's cool.
he owes River Phoenix his career
and
because all of these roles will be going to River Phoenix.
Oh.
If,
yeah,
that's the
rest in
truth.
peace.
Like that's
We're
the honest to God truth.
We're rewatching Indiana Jones too. Well, we just
How
got through
good
the
is
first,
River Phoenix?
And I'm like, man, I just made me
It's
think.
like even
know.
at that age.
I know that would have been that would be cool if he could have like carried it on somehow. And
It would have been.
I mean, obviously other movies too, but I'm just like, man, that is good.
even in when you see him in Stand By Me,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you're like, good lord.
Obviously,
this
he's gonna
kid
be
is-
huge.
He is acting circles around these kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's good. And one of those
For
kids is
real.
Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
at that point, Corey Feldman, not today. But,
right.
Yeah.
But his music career.
I stand by my statement.
But yeah, I don't know. For me, I think all these points are, I mean, they're all valid. They all make sense. For me, I wasn't disappointed in the same way JD was, and I get what he's saying because yes, I would have loved a different take. I would have loved an adaptation. People talk about this thing about remakes. Like, who is it? Is it Eggers that's doing the Christmas Carol?
I gotta tell
Is it
you,
Robert?
Yeah.
That's gonna be.
I can't wait.
Cannot
That
wait.
sounds
But
great.
people online keep going, oh, he's becoming Mr. Remake.
I thought that.
But I'm like, that's not a remake. He's adapting a novel. He's not going to remake. He's going to be adapting.
Yeah.
That
a
is gonna
Christmas
be
Carol
that's-
film
in the
through and
weirdest.
through.
Yes. He's gonna take the exact dialogue from the Dickens novel,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh no, we're going old school
Yeah.
English."
Yeah.
Like
So,
that's,
like, I don't
exactly.
like. do people not realize Nosferatu's not a remake? Go find Nosferatu and watch it and tell me if all those scenes are
Oh,
a
I
remake.
see, I
He's
see.
adapting a novel in his own.
So
like,
to me,
there's two
that
different-
is how you do that.
Yes, that's an adaptation.
That-
It's not a remake.
That's why Cinderella works. That's
Yes.
why The Jungle Book works. But it's only a matter of. I was actually talking to somebody about this yesterday. Disney needs to stop. I mean, we know that Moana's coming.
that is another one where that Moana, like,
That's gonna suck.
That's
gonna
filming
suck.
a remake to Moana 1 while Moana 2 was coming out, and Moana 1's not that old, where it's like, what are they doing? It's like a snake eating its own tail or something. I can't think.
I
Like,
don't understand why they are so hard up to immediately do these remakes of brand.
Yeah.
Frozen's coming. You know, Frozen's gonna happen.
remake.
They're gonna remake Frozen.
the Black Cauldron. You
Black
cowards.
Cauldron, Sword in the
Do
Stone,
something
Robin
cool.
Hood.
Yes.
The Aristocats, any of that stuff that is
Robin
kind
Hood should be Pixar. I still stand by that.
That's
That would
fair.
be really cool.
And I
with
like
the-
Tom's idea of taking the audio track and just reusing the audio track.
Actually remaking it in that way.
Or Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you guys. This is a trend that's not going to stop anytime
It makes
soon.
money.
How
Yeah.
to Train Your Dragon, I can sit here and criticize it all day. It's already made $150 million.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Well, it's gonna stop because they're gonna run out of movies. Like,
Well, how many
they're
books-
doing
well,
it so,
okay, so this is
they're
the
doing
thing.
it so quickly that
How-
they're
how
gonna.
many
I mean,
books
that's,
are there?
that's why I
They'll
refer.
just remake the remake.
That's what I was,
Yeah.
I was about to say.
Well, and that's why I was referred to as they're strip mining their past.
Yeah.
You know, because eventually they're gonna run out of things, and now what? But yeah, we'll get the animated adaptation of the live action version of How to
I
Train
was
Your Dragon.
just about to say, I want them to do an animated remake. Start giving me hand-drawn animation of like CG stuff.
Oh, man.
Adapt the CG into hand-drawn animation.
I don't need a what was the Chicken Little a hand drawn Chicken Little movie.
Shark Tale live action. Let's go. All the DreamWorks are going to start just like the most obscure, like
Well, that's the other
underperforming
thing is like I
movies.
feel like besides this, do they have franchises in animation?
DreamWorks
I
has
guess
a lot
Shrek,
of movies.
Kung Fu Panda.
Oh,
like
I always
Shrek.
forget that's them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, this. You know,
Shark
and
Tale.
You keep bringing that
like,
up.
I think DreamWorks and Pixar can still I think they've proven even in just the last few years that they can create original masterpieces of old if they would just commit to it more. Specifically, I'm thinking of The Wild Robot last year, which was in my top 10 of the year.
insanely good.
And for Pixar, Luca a few years ago, I think is massively underrated. And that film would have made $1 billion at the box office if COVID didn't come. And
No, that movie was a snooze.
that right
I
now
agree.
is it's still their biggest streaming numbers. Luca is
Oh,
as far
okay.
as Disney Plus goes.
Wow.
So that film was massive.
Because the kids fall asleep during it. And
for the
we-
Yeah.
just kidding, JT. Sorry.
It goes and it just loops.
It just
This kid watched
Maybe.
Luca
That could be
5
part of it.
times.
I don't know. I don't. That is a kid
Onward.
thing.
I contest Onward because Onward came out
Like the
the
week.
day that
Yeah.
Like
I went
the
and saw
weekend
it.
COVID
Yep,
came.
it was. I went and saw Onward in the theater, and I said to everybody, I'm like, "This is amazing!
Same.
It was so fun. I loved it." And then COVID hit. Before, like, I went with, I think maybe my mom and Ryan or something. And I told Katie, and like, she couldn't even go see it in the theater.
That was the deal with Disney Plus, right?
Right,
Like,
so you can
you can get Disney Plus and the day Disney Plus launches, you got Onward as well.
And that was the beginning of the stupidity that tanked movie theaters, because it was like people
Yeah.
are like, why would I go to the theater? It just
Right.
comes out the day of. And then
Yeah.
Iger came back and all these other executives were like, wait a minute, hold on. What if we release this in the theater and make $1 billion and then a month later put it on streaming? What?
Bob
turns
Iger's
out-
like, have you heard of a movie called Planes? Remember when I did that?
I mean, it's okay.
the Dane Cook led animated movie.
But as bad as Moana 2 is, like that movie made $1 billion.
We said that was supposed to be a TV show.
It was,
Yeah.
and it made. And he's like, whoa, pump the brakes. Can you cut this into an hour and a half movie?
Can I?
$1 billion. Hey, guess what? Now it's on Disney Plus.
Right.
You land in
Well-
the same place.
Moana 2 is interesting though, because if you actually go look at the numbers, it killed its opening weekend and then it fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Its second, third, fourth, and fifth weekend, it got no word of mouth, and the numbers just fell.
But it was
drastically.
international. Overseas, it did gangbusters, and I don't get why. The
Yeah,
Rock.
like,
I don't know what.
I think I think we've said before that it's easy to take an animated movie, redub it
Yeah.
into, you don't have to, you just get a whole new cast.
Well, you know what? And they get famous actors from the different
Yeah.
countries through the voices. So people are like, oh, I love that. Like, they go to see an actual actor. They're not just,
Right.
let's say, dubbing it. It's like, no, it's this voice actor from their country
Correct.
is going to. But that's one where I agree, JD, where like it tanked because everyone said it was bad. There's no memorable songs, yada, yada. And then somehow I kept checking the box office and I'm like, this thing made $1 billion with a B dollars. And it was just mind-boggling.
make any sense.
No,
Yeah,
it's,
the worldwide saved it.
yeah, right, and it was all overseas, and then I'm just like, what? How did this happen? They were forcing people, like you got a Moana ticket with your mortgage payment, or I don't know how did they make so much money?
Yeah.
But Madagascar,
Those movies suck.
Trolls, those movies made a ton of money.
Yeah, that's true.
And then The Prince of Egypt, they could remake that into.
Yeah.
I would love that.
You know,
That'd
so
be awesome.
And that's one of the old.
Can
school,
you get away with that today?
making
that's a
like a
biblical movie,
religious
right?
movie, but mainstream? Or
Isn't that a
what-
biblical movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty big ask.
Yeah.
yeah.
Somebody's gonna say you did it in a way that offends them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you
it'd
know-
be very polarized.
I agree.
But back then,
sure.
like I watched that movie and it's a really good movie.
It's
But
a
like
great
I didn't
looking
grow up
movie.
religious, but like it transcended religion. It was a good story and a good movie.
Yeah.
We'll just get the guy that did The Crow, and we'll get David. No, the guy that did The Crow directed that Lords of Egypt movie. Remember the one that was like
Alex
Proyas?
Yeah.
And it was Joel Edgerton and the guy who was Jamie Lannister, maybe.
God, I forgot.
and it
about
was just
that.
kind of
Oh
like,
my-
what are we doing?
Oh my God, Gods of Egypt.
Gods of Egypt.
Oh my
Gods
God.
of Egypt.
Yeah.
What else did Alex Proyas?
Dark City.
Dark
Yeah,
Dark
Dark
City's
City's
the
good.
one, man. Dark City.
Dark
that
City
is
and
a
The Crow are both
movie. Home. I know with that the Rihanna movie. That's one that I know you wanna.
Is that the one with Jim Parsons?
Is Jim Parsons in that?
Isn't he the little alien?
Oh, the little, yep. Boss Baby.
Those were big
Live
movies.
action Boss Baby.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Maybe. I mean, it's called Look Who's Talking. but-
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They just look like those car insurance commercials from the
Yeah.
early 2000s.
Yeah, right. Storks? Are they storks?
I don't know if storks, but they're the bad guys, which is based on another famous like scholastic book that
Okay.
kind of like in How to Train Dragon, super popular young kids series, and that movie did well, and it was a good movie
There's a sequel
too.
to that
Yeah,
coming
there's a
out.
second one coming
Right,
out.
and so like that's one where they could bring that into live action, but still have the CG animals.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's like now you've caught up. Like Disney at
Right.
least can go back to the 50s
True.
and be like, oh, here's this weird thing.
I mean,
that-
they went back to the 30s.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And with Disney, the thing is too, and a lot of people don't realize this, like Disney movies are not original, right? They're based on fairy tales, right? But they took their own spin and made them.
Right.
Right. So like that is the thing. They did their own, not remake or adaptation, however
It's
you
the
want to
same
put
thing
it.
as the Universal Monsters.
True.
You know?
Right. But they're spinning it and adding enough to it to where it's not just like a shot for shot. They're not just he didn't take J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan and just animate it to the words on the book. Like they made changes and they did so many things. And
Yeah.
and I get at the end of the day, it's like that's the remakes we want to see. So I get JD's point, and it is disappointing in that regard. But I gotta say, like the way they handled the action sequences, you get Powell's score back in there, like I don't know, it worked for me in a way that I know that I should hold it to a higher standard, but I don't know. I was entertained by it.
You're going through my Man of Steel in 2013.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening.
I'll look at this in a year and be like, what was I talking about?
So dumb.
I will say I didn't mind Mason Thames here as Hiccup.
Yeah.
He kind of bleeds this middle ground where spiritually, tonally, it's still wanting to be that animated film, but he is able to ground his performance a little bit more than what you get with Jay Baruchel, which I do appreciate. And the same thing goes for Nico Parker as well. I think they did a good job. The rest of the cast, though, perhaps Butler aside, is again where it's such a jarring dichotomy for me because
it's a cartoon.
Gabriel
character.
Howell, Julian Dennison, Rowan James, they are cartoons in this film.
They are
full on cartoonish.
Now, it's like for better or for worse. I get what you're saying, but like their casting, like it's perfect for like they seem like cartoon characters, but if you're expecting more grounded movie, they're gonna stick
like
out.
Live action? You mean like if it's gonna be quote unquote real life?
but they cast people that act just like the cartoons.
Yeah.
So like I'm torn because it's like it's kind of perfect.
Is the
casting.
guy's dad the guy who's super confident or not? Well,
It's Peter Serafinowicz.
Serafinowicz.
Yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
But I feel like if you're going to do that, just go ahead and get the actors that you have at Universal who do a better job of mimicking the animated anyway.
Yeah, this very
So
much
like
has
you might as well double dip.
has a theme park ride pre-roll vibe.
Yep. I agree.
Interesting. Okay.
I agree. And I guess it's so Universal has introduced the new. Did you guys do Universal or just Disney?
We just did Disney this time.
They've introduced the new horror stuff. So you've got like Universal versions of all of the monsters and all that stuff. But they've introduced How to Train Your Dragon. Like this is a newer thing where they've got like a baby.
Now you're down there, JD. Have you gone to meet Hiccup or the dragon?
So it's funny you say that.
Yeah.
We're going to Universal next Friday.
Nice.
Okay.
Next weekend. So we have debated whether to go because my wife knows I am dying to go to work. So I want to go, but they're also working out some kinks. It's something that we pay attention to. Like there's a hurricane coming. Like we're looking at updates on the hour.
Okay.
And so because they're working out some kinks, we might wait until the fall. We are 1,000% going this year sometime.
Yeah. But you want to
It's
go
just
see
a
it when
matter
it's like its fullest potential.
We might wait for them to kind of get everything figured out because some of the rides are going down and wait lines are like 6 hours.
That
long.
always happens. I mean,
So-
Hagrid's. How often did Hagrid's go down when it first came out? One of the most incredible rides I've ever been
And
on.
that's
but-
why we didn't go
Exactly.
when we were just there, because I was just like, it would have literally been like 4 days after it opened, and I was just like,
you go and you wait for 4 hours.
That
to
sounds
go.
like a nightmare. I have no interest. I'm like, I will wait. I'm
went-
old, but I'm not so old that I think I could be dead before I get another shot at going.
We went to
So,
when the Velocicoaster,
we were there the day it opened.
we were there the same
Weren't
summer.
news people there?
Yeah,
or
like the
something, or-
Today Show was broadcasting live.
What actor was there?
Kenan Thompson
Kenan,
was in
yeah.
the park, and like from the moment they opened the park, the wait for the Velocicoaster was like 3 hours.
And there's no ride that good.
No, we had to make a choice.
And
We
I
were like,
watched the ride through, and I was just like, "Oh, I am far too much of a pussy to do that."
we were like, we can either go stand in line for the Velocicoaster or we can go stand in line for the Hulk. And we're just like,
Hulk is good.
We're doing the Hulk.
Hulk is
it's
great.
It's also June in Florida.
Fair.
The summertime is the worst time to go. And I have the luxury that it's just a few hours down the road. So we can go in the fall when it's much cooler because
Crowds are
we try to
down.
avoid it.
Yeah.
Most of the, like we're going on a cruise, which is why we're heading to Orlando in the first place. So we're kind of double dipping. Otherwise, we tend to avoid it in the summer, and that's another issue as well. Especially if you're going to wait 3-4 hours for no thanks.
But
I'll wait. But I desperately want to go. I'm almost still willing to experience that just to go to Burke. But
yeah, well, it does look
see.
amazing.
No,
I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, it looks fun.
But at the end of the day, this movie, I can't quite wrap my head around it because it is the cartoons are so fresh to where like when we talk about why remake a movie, right? It's because like, oh, kids don't want to watch hand-drawn animation or whatever. But like, I can't say kids don't want to watch CG because, right, that's what they turned all animation into is CG. So you've got the CG ones. There's no reason to turn it into live action unless you're trying to do something drastically different, like something that JD expected from it. And so I can't, again, cash grab. We know what the real answer is, but from an artistic standpoint, there is no reason for this to exist. With that being said, I enjoyed it, but yeah, you're not going to recreate.
5 years from now, you sit down to watch How to Train Your Dragon. Which one you watch?
The cartoon.
Right. I'm just
The
going to go back
animated.
and watch.
Yeah,
Because if
hands down.
you have your choice, it's like, why wouldn't you just watch the original?
Right.
You don't get anything out of this one that you couldn't get from that. And that is the problem on paper with it, right? Is that it does not do anything that you don't already have. So it does feel kind of like, why?
Why?
Even if it
we
is
know why.
decent, it's just, you still ask why. Why?
Right.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll only be worth it if, and I don't think this is even possible given the rules and the math that applies. But if this gets John Powell the Oscar, I will rescind all of my criticism.
Oh, if this could, that's interesting. Yeah. So he's,
Would it count since it's not original?
No, and that's why I'm saying I don't think because going back to Dune last year,
right?
Like there's a math formula that they apply to all this, and this is a straight up
100%
regurgitation. So
remake. Yeah.
No, this
there's
one
no
goes ding,
way,
ding, ding,
but-
ding, ding. This one goes.
And Vanilla Ice never won that
Nope.
Grammy either.
Sure
So
didn't.
you know. Man, it's-
So I guess that's it. We didn't really
here's
do
the-
beat for beat because they already did it
They
for
did
us.
it for us.
I didn't think with this one we had to go plot point by plot point.
Yeah.
But I do
He
think
trains a dragon.
Yeah.
The end.
But he gets his leg cut off.
I think it's very effective, just as the cartoon. It's not necessary, but I do think it's effective. What did your son think? Last thing, my question I meant to ask, like as a kid that I'm sure you've shown the movie you love, like what was his interpretation?
Well, he loved it. Of course, he loved it. And he also doesn't have the relationship with the animated film that I do. He's seen them. He's seen those movies. In fact, one of the first films I took Sam to when he was younger was the third film when that first hit theaters. He was like 3 or 4 when that came out. So we definitely have experience with these movies, but he just doesn't have the fondness, and it's not something he goes back to often like I do. So this was in a lot of ways his first real experience with this movie, and he wants to come on our podcast to talk about it. So he's there taking notes and all
That's
that
fun.
sort of stuff.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, so he's having a lot of fun with it in that regard. So yeah, he had a great time, and DreamWorks, Universal, they're going to make their money with because of that.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was going to be my point, is that, even though we grew up with some of this stuff, these remakes and reboots and all that are someone's first movie.
Yeah.
And like, if this is your first time watching this story, I think it's just as effective. You're not going to watch this and be like, that movie sucked, but then your kid's like watches the animated and they're like, oh yeah, this one did it right. Like this movie handles the story and the
You're
characters
not, I don't
the
disagree.
exact same way, right? So
that's a Stan Lee thing where he said every comic book is somebody's first comic book.
So if this is your first introduction to this movie, I think you're going to fall in love with it. Just like if the animated is the first introduction, you'll fall in love with it.
Why did you say it like that?
What's that?
Animated.
Oh, I you got me on that one.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
he got animated.
Yeah, I was
did
just
get
trying to get
animated. That's right,
animated
that's
with
right.
my responses. But right, it's just as effective. So that's why I think it kind of ekes out a win, because it does the same things and it does make you emotional because they laid the groundwork.
Well, that's the thing. We just on the emotional part. I think we've talked about this before, where sometimes movies will do things. And it's like, oh, fuck off! Like you didn't deserve. But then you think of that Rocky theme in Creed. And when it hits, you're like, you deserve all of it.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
They didn't stick the dun, 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 dun in the opening scene of this movie. He earns it during the test flight, just like in the,
you knew that was coming.
sure,
You know what
but
I mean?
like they didn't
So
cheat. They gave it
That's
to you
fair.
right where
I'll give you that. That is
Yeah.
fair. It's not like they hit you where like
they weren't hinting at it like, hey, remember, hey, we're getting you bait. You
Correct.
like these movies.
Yeah.
Here's the song. It's
I know
no.
we've talked about Superman, but I hear that new theme, and it's like, okay, like you're hitting It's not the John Williams theme, but you're hitting the.
But it sounds like the
certain-
John Williams theme.
There's parts of it that
Yeah.
are there.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a little bit before the test flight. It's the Forbidden Friendship track that plays as Hiccup and Toothless are kind of forming that friendship for the first time. And again, it is beat for beat, shot for shot.
Yeah,
exact same. But there's something about that music that just cuts deep for me. And as like the first note, that's all it took, and Waterworks.
I don't know. It was weird. Like I'm not even that close to it, but I started tearing up and I go, "What the hell am I doing?" Because that scene with Toothless and Hiccup is just such a beautiful moment that like there's just something programmed in you after seeing that where you're like, "Oh, that's gonna happen," and it's beautiful, you know, right? And so
I wonder if Disney's gonna get to a point where they're going to go look at Pixar stuff and be like, we can make those in a live action, right? We can get a live action Toy Story. We can get a live action Monsters, Inc. We can get a live action
Pixar live action. That's
going to be awful. They're going to run out of movies at some point. Yeah, all of that. All the Pixar stuff.
Isn't that just called Call Me By Your Name?
Yeah.
Well,
Luca.
No, it's called Splash.
Just in Italy. Call Me By Your Name in Italy.
Yeah. I think the easiest would be Finding Nemo.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just do it with like
absolutely
real
fish. It'd be Lion King. It'd be CG
Lion King
fish.
with fish.
Yeah.
I actually joked about that with Katie yesterday because we're like, "What's next? What's the next adaptation?" I go, "I don't know, real life Finding Nemo."
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense.
Brought to you by Red Lobster.
Captain D's, please.
So I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find
This
it.
is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter and all of the other social media bullshit at Joey Butts, BUTTS21.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin R. Brackett.
And JD, where can they find you and your wares?
Yeah, you can find us at InSessionFilm.com. There we have links to the podcast. We also have some great writers that write for the site as well. So we have lots of content there. And you can follow us on social media at InSession Film on all the platforms. And thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah, you were great, man.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
coming
so
back.
much.
Appreciate it.
And you can find me on Blue Sky and Threads at Tom O'Keefe Jr. or Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Quinn declares Jared the new leader.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we always